Here's why you're going to fail at running an art business. Running an art business requires a combination of artistic skill, business knowledge, marketing skills, and the ability to persist. And I can tell you now, a lot of you don't have that. I hate to sound so negative, but the whole purpose of this channel and these art business talks is I'm a very realistic person, and so I try to make sure that people have realistic expectations for what they're getting themselves into in an art career. It is very difficult, and most businesses are, especially when you're starting from scratch. A lot of you will not have any clue what you're doing. You won't have any set of goals really in particular, other than I just want to make a living from my art. A lot of you won't understand what actually goes into running an art business. A lot of you will waste a lot of time just trying to figure out those basic things. So many of you will skip over really important parts and jump straight to either painting and skip the business, or you'll do it the other way around and skip the whole skill set with your painting and jump straight into business. And you need a good balance and combination of both. Many of you will make the mistakes of posting every single day, thinking that that's what you need to do to get your work seen, but you're not actually putting in any time or effort into researching and making good quality content. A lot of you are just painting whatever you feel like and not really doing any market research on your specific audience and what you actually enjoy painting. And a lot of you are undisciplined. So you're probably wondering, well, thanks, what do I do then? I know it sounds mean. A lot of you aren't going to make a full-time living from your work, and that's okay. You may not necessarily want to do that in the end. You might find that when you do go full-time, that it's really not for you, not your cup of tea, and that you'd rather be doing it part-time along with something else. Or maybe you just wanted to do it as a hobby after all. That's totally fine. But for my artists that do want to pursue this full-time and are really serious about having an art career where you make the majority of your income from selling work and whatever else that your income streams bring in, then this video is sort of for you.
Quickly, I just want to throw it out there that I have a mailing list that you can sign up for. This mailing list allows me to offer my most avid fans and collectors a more in-depth look into my work as an artist. I offer exclusive discounts, invites, announcements, course updates, art business advice, and even a monthly newsletter. So click on my website in the description below to join it and check everything else out that I have to offer.
I've said this before and I'm going to say it again, and it is the most important aspect of having a business. The first thing you're going to do is know what the hell you want. What are your goals? What are your plans? Where do you see yourself in the future with this? And they can be dreams as silly as I want to own my own, art cafe, or I want to have my own gallery, or I want to do this with it. Be very specific with your goals and your dreams in this. I'd also recommend having a set of short-term and long-term goals, so that way you've got things to work towards. You're going to want a clear plan on how to do it. Maybe some of you are under pressure. You need to make this work now, otherwise you're not going to be able to afford rent or to pay your grocery bill or whatever it is that you need. So you have to have a very clear-cut plan on how this is going to happen. Next thing you're going to do is, obviously you need a body of work. If you already have a body of work, great. Now it's time to define you. What do you do? For an example, I'm a surreal animal artist. I paint animals, I do surreal stuff, I make them weird, I make them a little more abstract maybe. That's my thing. You need to define what you do and why you do it. Why do I paint animals? Because I love animals, I love nature, I want to support animals, I want to showcase their beauty. Make a list of reasons why you do it, every single thing. You also want to do a lot of research here, both locally and online. If you're living in an area that doesn't have much going on locally, fine, so be it. Then look out of state, or look to the next town over. But still look for in-person events that you could possibly attend, because I'll tell you now, online's great, but there is a lot going on and it's a little harder to tap into. Locally, you can get started and it's much easier to tap into that market and a lot easier to make sales and make connections, and those connections can lead to more connections and things like that. So you want to research your field. What I mean by this is that if you're living in an area that is, for example, I live in Florida, it's very beach heavy themed here. People love tropical themes, people love ocean themes, they love light, airy kind of color palettes and stuff like that. Not always, but for the most part, that's what the market here is looking for. So I have to consider catering my work a little more in that direction. I don't have to copy other artists. I don't have to strictly paint beach scenes. I've never painted a beach scene in my life, but I do paint animals and scenes and imagery that does go with that sort of the market that's here, and that is something that you have to consider. For an example, if you were living in North Carolina in the mountainy areas, you'd paint bears and forests and something related to that area, because that is what your market is going to be looking for locally. Now online is a different story. Online, your global market is anything, everything. However, you still want to keep it somewhat niched down. I would say to be careful with niching down super early in your artist career, just because you're still discovering what works best for you. It's actually better to be a little bit more general early on, and then when you find something that really works for you, to niche down more into those subjects. If you're like me and you absolutely know what you love to do, then go for it. But if you're a little more generalized and you like to paint a little bit of everything, figure out what sells more and then go more in that direction when it starts to pick up. So you want to adapt to your market no matter what you're doing. And people will say, oh, follow trends. Don't follow trends. If you're not into doing trends, if you're not into painting fan art for a TV show or whatever it is that fan art does these days, don't make yourself do it just for the sake of trying to get views. The views will come to you if you have something that they want to see. And that's where your research comes in. Then you want to start networking. You want to start building a reputation locally and online. The more you network, the better chances and opportunities will come and doors will open for you. If you're introverted like me, get over it. Don't be afraid to put yourself out there. People tend to think, and it's a very self-centered thing, but we all tend to think everybody's thinking about us or judging us or doing something, and it's quite self-centered at the end of the day, because for the most part people are thinking about themselves and they're worried about what everyone else is thinking about them. And so just get out there, do your thing, and the right people who are right for you will come to you. You also want to start applying for things, building up a little bit of an artist CV if you like. Apply for local galleries or galleries around your state or out of state even. Start small and go bigger. Apply for shows and events, markets. Go live painting if you're into live painting, because that can be quite a lucrative thing too. Approach different shops, cafes, anything else around town that you can display your work, sell your work. Partner up with someone and have them push your and advocate for your work for you. That's not necessarily a gallery, but you know, maybe a coffee shop or something. You're building up your reputation here. The point is you're getting your name, getting your work out there, and it doesn't necessarily feel like much sometimes, but it does have bigger impacts than you think. People will be looking at your work, talking about it. You also want to get a brand and a very strong online presence going. The thing about business these days is that you've got to be online. You've got to be posting. You've got to keep your stuff current, relatively current. It doesn't have to be every single day, but at the very least, once a week, you should have some new content up. If you don't have a presence these days, most people who are going to try and look for you, look for your work, are not going to take you seriously. They can see you can't be bothered to put in the effort to get your work out there, promote it. They can see that, well, maybe he doesn't have a website, so how am I supposed to find out any information on this person? Maybe they don't good quality photos, they post once every few months. It's just not good enough. You have to do more than that. Don't post every single day, multiple times a day. That is exhausting. That is a good way to get burned out. I hate that advice. If you hear that advice from any other content creator, tell them to shut up. As artists, we take a lot of time and pride in what we create, and it's a time-consuming thing. Like, we can't just churn out a painting every single day. That's exhausting. Especially if you're working a part-time job and you have kids and family or spouse or whatever else that is going on in your life. We have busy lives enough as it is. But at least, at the minimum, post at least once a week. This will ensure that your content stays relatively up to date so that anyone new looking for you, looking up your work, hearing your name and researching you, is going to find you and find your current stuff. I would really encourage you to get a website going. Your website is like your hub for everything that you do and are about. Of course, related to artwork. You don't want to put random stuff on there too, but anything that's related to you and your artwork and what you're doing and working on, the website, it needs to go up. That is the first place that you are going to send them to when you're talking about your art. Check out my website, take a look at my portfolio. I have a shop, I have paintings available, prints available, I've got this event going on, I've got a schedule on here, a calendar, I've got whatever it is. That's your hub. And you can get free websites, you can keep it really simple to 1 or 2 pages. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. It will take you maybe an hour or 2 if you're really bad at doing computer work to create one. But get a website. I believe Wix does a free version. Most websites do free versions that you can do really basic stuff on it. But it's just a way to send people to your website, give them information about you, let them see your work, see what you're up to around town, what you're doing. This is where the discipline comes in. When it comes to social media, you need to be a little more disciplined with it. You need to be at least posting once a week or twice a week or whatever you're comfortable with on your schedule. You also want to be looking for opportunities here. Now, of course, unfortunately with artist opportunities, calls for shows, calls for galleries, calls for residencies, they're a bit like the soul-crushing job search. If you've ever, had to look for a job, then it's soul-crushing a little bit because you'll apply to 100 of these things and get no responses sometimes. But you have to keep going because you will get one at some point. Same thing for applying for galleries. If you want to work with galleries and you're just starting out, I would recommend that you don't go for any galleries like vanity galleries. They're sort of the worst ones to really work with because they charge you for wall space and they'll also take a commission, so they're just kind of bleeding you dry. But go for galleries or apply to galleries that don't charge necessarily and just take a small commission. And they are out there. You might have to look out of your state if it's a very quiet place that you live in. And you just have to keep going, really, and that's what it comes down to. Most businesses take anywhere from 2 to 10 years sometimes. It can be less, obviously, depending on how well you are managing your business and how well you're managing your online presence. And if you're trying to go it alone and figure it out alone, it can be really difficult and it's going to take you a lot longer. I know that from the hard way. So maybe you want to consider coaching or a mentor or finding a teacher, or maybe there's an art school nearby who will teach you a business class and things like that. So consider giving those a go as well before you really jump headfirst into an artist career. Those of you who are persistent enough and determined will make this a success. And there are going to be times when you are frustrated, scared shitless, absolutely ready to throw in the towel. It's always going to take you a bit longer than you think, and then when something does happen, it's a nice surprise. It's going to be a lot of work, it's going to be a lot of hard work, you're going to feel like nothing's working out for you, you're going to feel absolutely drained sometimes in every way possible because you're balancing everything else in life with this career you're trying to build. And it's scary, it's a scary career because it is volatile. Yes, you can have some form of stability with it, but a lot of the time it can be up and down, and so you've got to be really damn good with managing your money, managing your finances, managing your life. And so you've got to be prepared for all of that. And just be willing to learn from your mistakes, because your mistakes are the things that teach us the most in the end. And on that note, I'm going to leave this video here. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to my channel, and I will see you all next time.
If you're an artist looking to take your business full-time, then head over to the Intuitive Artist Academy to book an exclusive one-on-one mentoring session with me. I will look at your art and art business and guide you on the right path for your artistic journey. These coaching sessions will leave you feeling inspired and ready to take action for your own art career.